Happy Friday. This is Lisa Suhr here with I believe my 7th episode of my Friday favorites for my summer 2018 video series. And I'm going to be flipping my phone camera around today and videotaping my iPad screen for you. So let's see if I can get that working right. I'm going to flip my camera. And there we go. I'm putting my camera in my Belkin iPad stand, actually. I've got my iPads underneath that, so I think that'll look like you can see it okay. And what I'm going to do is show you just a couple of things today that are some iPad tips. So one of the things that I'm just going to go into some settings options. So remember, the settings icon is this gear icon. And a couple of things that earlier this summer I did one of my sessions had mentioned the accessibility feature that allows you to voice type. Today I want to feature another accessibility feature that allows the user to have the text on the screen read aloud, no matter what the app is. So this is a feature of the iOS. It's not a feature of a specific app. So once it's enabled, a student can be taught to be able to have their own read aloud support from any text that opens on the iPad. So I'm in General on the left-hand side here, and you'll see that the options on the right-hand side include accessibility. When I go into accessibility, one of those options is speech. And when I open speech, speak selection is turned on. It's toggled on for me. Once that is toggled on, you have some other options that you can select here. I like to have the highlighting the content enabled, and what that will do is put a highlight over the word as it reads it aloud. You can also adjust the speaking rate by sliding this down here. I'm going to slide it and show you kind of the difference. So that's pretty fast. Let me turn it up a little bit so that you can turn the volume up a little so you can hear it a little better. So as I slide it slower,
speak selection reads selected content.
That's not too bad. If I wanted
speak selection reads selected content.
So I could help a student figure out
speak selection reads selected content,
the right speed to match their own reading level. And then what that will do, whenever I am in a web page or a PDF or any kind of option that has text, I'm going to open up here just a Wikipedia page that I had opened earlier. And when I touch and hold, I get a menu that has speak as one of the options. So whatever is highlighted right there, I have just one word.
Body.
So it will speak just that one word. But if I select the whole paragraph or a whole sentence, and then I hit speak.
The Continental Congress, also known as the Philadelphia Congress, was a convention of delegates.
We'll go ahead and read it aloud, highlight it if you have that turned on. You can pause it and continue on from where it leaves off as well. So great functionality there for a student to be able to give themselves their own read aloud support. Okay, a couple other things back in settings that I want to point out. Back to settings and still in general again. And then under accessibility, one of the options is called assistive touch. It's down in the second group of options. And within assistive touch, if you have that enabled, that turned on, it gives you this little, you see this little draggable icon. And what it is really an option for somebody who needs some assistive ways to get to certain parts of the iPad to pop up this little icon or this little menu choice. But what I like to use it for is drawing attention. Since there isn't really a pointer when I'm teaching with my iPad, sometimes it's nice to have it turned on so I can say, see up in the corner up here where I'm circling, and so it kind of works like a pointer. So it's sort of just a workaround. It's not really its intended use, but it works great for that. You can adjust down here how much opacity it has when it's idle, so you can notice after I've let go of it for a few seconds, it fades away on its own, and that's down to the level that I have selected for its opacity. Okay, one more thing in here. While we have general selected, and go to the keyboard. Most people I think have figured this out, but just in case you haven't and you want to look at it, let's go back here to general. And then on the general options, keyboard has its own option, and you can add keyboards. So if you haven't considered letting students use emojis to demonstrate their learning, there's a lot of cool ideas out on the internet about how students can use emojis. And so adding the emoji keyboard is simple to do. You edit the keyboards that are available, and then you would you could go in and remove it there, or you could just say add new keyboard, and then it's going to be listed emoji as one of its own keyboards. Actually, it's also great for foreign language if students are needing to type with the accent marks and letters that are in other languages. So be sure that you know how to do that and consider having your students do it. You may have to set some guidelines for it. Not all the emojis are school appropriate for all uses, so be thinking about that. The students probably already know how to turn that emoji keyboard on, and so it's just one of those things that may be a classroom management issue that you need to be prepared for, or if you want to get creative, you might decide to work it into your actual lessons. Okay, also in settings, on the left-hand side, I want to talk for a moment about the Control Center, which has its own left-hand menu now. So when you have the Control Center selected, you can go in and customize those controls. And we'll talk in just a minute where the Control Center is, but you can add all of the things that are down below to the top part. So there's a few things that are by default in the Control Center, but remember that you can come back here and add it. One of the things is that screen recording option, which is a new feature in iOS 11 on the iPad. So just want you to know, if you want to use that as a feature, you have to first enable it by adding it from down here, and it will show up at the top up there. So you can personalize this to which of these items you would like to have access to on your Control Center. So let's talk about where do I get the Control Center. So when you flick up from the bottom, this portion on the right hand side over here is the Control Center. It used to come up, I believe, across the bottom. So these are the thumbnails of the recently opened items that I have, and this is the Control Center. So you'll notice there are several things on there. One of the things that I missed about the new iPads is the toggle switch that lets me lock my screen. That is now here on the Control Center. This is where you'll locate AirDrop. We're going to talk about AirDrop in just a minute. You can turn your Wi-Fi on and off, your Bluetooth on and off. This is where you see your screen mirroring, which used to be called AirPlay. Now the label for that is screen mirroring. So if you want to connect to Reflector, that's the feature that lets you do that. So there's a few other things on there you can get to as well. We won't talk about all of those, but that's the new features that are the new way that you can personalize that Control Center a little bit. All right, and so for our fifth item this week, let's talk for just a minute about AirDrop. This icon up here is the icon for AirDrop. If you haven't explored how you might be able to use AirDrop in your classroom, I'm going to challenge you that you should consider it. AirDropping photos or documents to students, or having them AirDrop things to you or to one another, is a very powerful feature. It works pretty seamlessly. You could think about AirDropping a document to the first student in each row and have them turn around and AirDrop back, just like you would pass papers back a row. You can have students AirDrop to one another from the front of the room to the back of the room to get something passed out. So it can be a workflow item. It can also just be useful for you to have students show you something, or if a student knows that you're impressed by something they've done, that really gives them a good feeling. And so asking them, hey, could I have a copy of that? Could you just AirDrop it to me real quick? That also is an option then for you to show somebody else and to give them that little positive stroke. So let me come back to my camera. I'm going to look this video over, make sure that it worked okay, videotaping that way. I hope that you all had a wonderful 4th of July this week, and I think this is one of my shortest videos yet, so I hope that you'll come back next week and watch the next episode of Friday Faves with Lisa Suhr. So see you later.